Number one, thank you for Joey for putting this on. Where's Joey? Great job, Joe. Phenomenal, great, a lot of work. All right. Number two, I want to recognize Anthony Turner for what he's done putting things together here. You know, guys, I haven't talked to Anthony a lot. As you all know, he's now the athletic director at CJ. Yes. Conversations I have had with Anthony talks about one thing. He said, Coach, all I want to do is bring the culture that was here when I was here to the school right now. He said, I don't care about the coaches or winning records or losing records, this, that, and everything. All that I want them to do is establish the culture that was here when I played here with you guys right here. Am I right, Anthony? The main conversation. That's all he cares about, all he wants to do. He's going to be successful. I don't know if we can do anything to support him, help him, but I know he would do that. You know, guys, I speak a lot now, and there's a reason I speak a lot because I'm free. You know, this is, people think, are you really free? I say, puts me in great demand. But I speak a lot, and I have about, maybe 10, 15, maybe 20 stories. I said, well, what story will fit here? What story will fit here? Some of them deal with this team right here. I want to tell you some of the stories that I tell when I talk about it. I talk about the word team. I talk about the word team. And when I talk about the word team, I use the example of this team. This team had some true superstars on it. I mean, honest to goodness, guys that went on to great success playing college football. I go around the room, and I don't want to say because everybody knows what Julienne did, where he finished. JoJo, captain of Columbia in the Ivy League. I'd go on and on and on. Harrison, Chris Vangus. I mean, I shouldn't single out anybody because all these guys have done so many great things in college. But I got a question for everybody here. 4 touchdowns for Javon, 251 yards. But who scored the first touchdown? That's what I'm talking about when I say team. You know what? That team had superstars on it, but I want to tell you what else it had. It had a whole lot of really good high school football players who cared a lot, who loved their teammates, who loved their school, who did everything it took to win a state championship. It just wasn't our superstars. Our superstars did their share. You all know that. Chris went on the pit and everything. But I'll tell you what, it was the guys that said, okay, my last game was at Paul Brown Stadium on December 2nd, 2002, and I'm going to lay it all on the line, and you guys did. The result was bringing a state championship back to this town. Another story I tell is, how many of you were telling this? We have 4 crises in a year. Every time I talk to coaches or anything else, I tell them, you're going to have 4 crises. We didn't handle our first crisis well at all. And I'm not making excuses for losing that ball game, but the day we lost Purnell was horrendous. Horrendous. I remember standing up in front of the team for the pep talk and I cried. I mean, every eye's on me and all I did was stand there and cry because I missed it so much. I wish he was here today. He walked in right there. But I will tell you this, I did not handle that well. I cried that night, I cried the next day. Ball game, I didn't want to coach the ball game. All I wanted to do was sit home and cry because I missed him so much. And because a piece of our heart was cut out that day that happened. And we can debate the justice or injustice of it. It happened, and we lost a great one, and I didn't handle that. So fast forward to the state championship game, all right? We're warming up, and Dr. Kleinetz walks up to me and goes, the kicker's out. Nice call. Tripped over his block. I'm not making fun of it. I'm not cracking on the guy. The guy gets hurt. The guy got hurt. I remember going to coaches. I said, who's the backup? We're not sure we got one. Who remembers who did the punting? What was your average? So that worked out pretty well for us. Who kicked off? Who really kicked off?
Ben Roosevelt.
Good.
Oh yeah, what's all you want, man? Yeah.
But I do remember going to the locker room and saying this, hey, crisis number 2, man, what are we going to do? And it didn't even hit a wave. There wasn't one guy panicked, not one guy thought about it, nothing. I always said, listen, we got a chance on 4th down, we'll go for it, we'll kick blue kicks and everything else. Mike's going to kick the ball straight up in the air and get some yardage out. Crisis number 3, Anthony, you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
How many remember what his name was? It wasn't a golf ball, it was a tennis ball.
Yeah.
I looked at his hand and I said, Dr. Klein, I said, he's okay. I said, he's okay. His hand's going to fall off. remember calling the team together. I said, crisis number 3. Anthony's hand is blowing up, as simple as that. So I called Coach Rachel and I said, I've got a play I want you to call tonight that I think will work because Anthony's got a little trouble throwing the ball. And that play is called Give the Ball to Javon. Just keep calling that play. I think we'll be all good shape. Hey, John, how are you? Johnny, we didn't know. I mean, at that point, we could have banked it in. We had an all-Ohio quarterback, went on a record-setting career at Bowling Green University. I mean, everybody had so much confidence in themselves, and we learned from our mistake. When we lost our great one, Purnell, we learned from our mistake that we got in a crisis. It's just as simple as that. So I tell that story. I think the story I talk about the most is this. You know, we lost a heartbreaking game the year before. Lost a late game. Pucciateri beat us up in Springfield. You guys came and said, Coach, we're going to win a state championship. And you did what it took. That's why I will always remember this. I have a picture of myself standing there, my wife here, Carolyn here, Jimmy here, Peggy here, 50, 60 media, and they ask a question, is this the greatest moment of your life? I said, no, wait a minute. Let's keep it in perspective, man. I got a wife and 3 kids. that is the greatest. There's nothing in my life that compares to my wife and 3 kids even a state championship. Every one of you, I may have kids right now. Would you support me on that statement?
Yes, sir.
This is great, but nothing like my kids. I said, yes, the greatest moment of professional life. And you know what? How's it compared to now? To then, it means more to me now. Because I didn't win another one. You know, I always was chasing it. I thought I had a couple pretty good teams. I thought I had some runs where we could make it again. But we didn't. This happened, that happened. Really, I thought we were going to win 2 more. But we just didn't work out. Things happened here, there, and everything. We made some deep runs, but we didn't get it done. So that was such a special night. And the point is this. So I told them, no. And I said, what's really neat about it is they won that state championship. And I pointed to you guys and I said, they started the day the season ended last year. From the time the season ended last year until this moment, they made that state championship happen. And today, it still makes it so special. The fact that you guys made that state championship happen was a present to me. You know what? You took me along for the ride, man. I'm very, very appreciative of that. You know something about that state championship? How many would agree with this? It brought this town together. That was something, you know, just like we were today, crazy times, this, that, and the other thing. We looked at a very diverse team who came together with one heartbeat, man, and did one thing. We brought that championship back to Dayton, Ohio, downtown Dayton, East Dayton, West Dayton, North Dayton, South Dayton, every part of the suburban town. We won that state championship. So I think it brought this town together. You just feel the celebration. I've had some reporters say, you know, we've never had that magic since you guys won that state championship in football. Maybe Trotwood won one, maybe Valley View won one, maybe Alter. But they won one. But nothing like the bad boys from downtown Dayton.
Yes, sir.
That's right. All right. Time!
Time, goddammit!
Time! I'm going to do a couple more things. I'm going to ask you this. What about a question for me or any of the coaches? 20 years later, does anybody have a question just for general interest? Anything you'd like to know from myself, Coach Ambrose, Coach Durris, Zeke, Jackie Fells? Comedy Club, you want to do your skit? Comedy Club, hold up, you Coach Jackie Fells. Anybody got questions? I'm going to do something else. Anybody got questions you want to ask? Anything? All right. Then I'm going to, yeah.
Was your preparation for the state championship different from any other game?
Tell you what I did, Matt. I learned a lesson the year before. The year before, I sold T-shirts, ordered buses, we had pep rallies. When we went to Springfield North, I was dead tired. I was tired. I mean, I was X amount of time coaching, X amount of time. I was the athletic director too. So I mean, all the stuff that I did, I learned my lesson. So your guys here, I don't know if you remember this or not, the last 2 games I called Roy Tote. And I said, Roy, I'm coaching this week. Would you get the hotel? Will you get the bus? When we went to the state championship game, I was here this. I was the first one off. Roy gave me my key. I went to my room. He put you to bed. He fed you, everything else like that. I coached the state championship. At the end of the state championship game, I was fresh. I felt good. And I should have learned that. I think we could have won the year before. I mean, we had the team to do it the year before. But to be honest with you, I was tired. Sometimes the team reflects the coach. And I learned my lesson. I said, I will never do that. You know, Jeff Graham out of Trotwood's a friend of mine. The first time he went to state, I said, come here, coach, I want to give you some advice. He said, what? I said, take care of yourself. he won the state. He called me up and said, Coach, that was the best advice you could ever do. So I appreciate you giving that. He said that. You're right. You know, all the things that go into it, go to the bus and the program and everything else, Mike. Simple as that. Yeah. Hold on, that question. Go, Grace.
Hey, Coach, I got a question. So, I was fortunate enough to play or to coach with Puckett and all these great coaches after the fact, and I was trying to quote a story that you used to tell us, and Puckett pulled me aside because I thought it was fact, and he said to me, Chris, I just want you to know that Coach Blake's never let the truth get in the way of a good story. What was the best and what was your favorite story to tell teams, whether it was true or not?
How about another one? Other questions? Then I'm going to do something else.
Yeah, I got something.
Go, Javon.
Okay, so
What's your name?
Who's this guy?
So with me being involved with coaching, one thing that has been difficult, I'll say, is being able to handle everybody's personality, because all of us are different. And with you being the head coach, I guess for yourself, how were you able to handle each one of us differently? Because nobody's the same.
That's a good question. CJ for me was like coaching Disneyland. You know, I think everybody knows I've coached in many, many situations. Springfield, Northwestern, rural, Beaver Creek, what you would call suburban, opponents, Withrow, Hamilton, Middletown, basically urban schools, inner city urban schools, all of them. But CJ was Disney World because I didn't have to do anything with you guys. And the truth is, you all had such a common connection is somebody was paying $5,000 for you to come down to school. So somebody cared about you. So there was always a phone call. You know, I coached in places in Boston where there was no phone call to make. You know, you talk to a young man at Withrow or opponents in Middletown, there was no phone call to make. But here, everybody had a common ground. And to be honest with you, you look at yourselves right now. Every one of you I've talked to is successful. And you know what? That's what it's all about. Everybody, you know, talking about their families, and this, that, and the other, what they're doing in their life, what they're doing in their life, what they're doing in their life. You know, I can honestly say this: as great as football is, when every one of you agree you came here to get an education first. I mean, you know, it was such a common bond that football was something you enjoyed and something fun. But at CJ, you also knew every one of you was going on to something more successful than that. So that was it. How about another question? I'm gonna do something. Go, Frankie. Coach, why your boy? Stand up for the class boy. How big is it?
my boy?
Yeah.
6'4", 230.
Woo! Yeah!
Anyway, you guys need to know that, you know, I came in late that year. I was sitting on the beach. He called me, and I came up. But our first staff meeting before the first game, and I had coached with Coach before. He had this little scratch notes, and he said, "It's going to be real quick. The only guys that can screw this team up are the guys in the room right now." Wow. It was the coaches. And he said, "We got to let this team go and play." And he's right. It always brings tears to my eyes. You guys were the best team I've ever been around. And Coach was right. The only guys that screwed it up, and we screwed it up one time. We screwed it up one time.
That's a big screw up
for us. But you were the reason we won. It wasn't us. We let you guys do your thing.
I want quick, you guys tell me one memory. One memory from anything about CJ, the state championship, anything. The good doctor. What's one memory, Marcus?
Oh, God. The one thing I remember was I was a little late coming to summer camp. And you called my cell phone trying to figure out where I was at.
Oh yeah, the voicemail.
My voicemail, if you called, it sounded like I actually picked up the phone. And you didn't realize that, so you left me this long message screaming at me. And then I was there the next day. I was there after that. Yeah.
John, I'm out of memory. One thing, anything. CJ or anything?
We were doing inside run. I'm a sophomore, squiggly. I was 6 feet 150, running some veer, and Mike Jones
Which one?
murdered me. Like I was parallel to the ground. And I'll never forget it.
One time, Coach Burris, we went to the corners and he goes, if you don't win, I'm going to yell double double. And I won. But then Coach Place yelled double
We had triple triple. Yeah, yeah.
We went quadruple because of Purnell.
We got Tommy Tom.
I got one.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
got one to follow up because one of the best things, the one that stands out the most is Burris as well. Coach Burris is the first coach that cared about me outside of football. Because I was in the hallway and I was sitting there and I got kicked out of class. And he comes walking by and he doesn't really say much to me. He just looks at me and keeps walking. I'm like, oh shit. And so later on we're lifting all season and I'm benching and he excuses. He's like, whoever spotted me, he's like, I got him. And I was like, uh-oh. And I'll leave out the rest of the details. But just let you know that he put a message in my head that it's more than inside the lines. I had to take care of business in the classroom too. And also, don't ever let him see you in the hallway ever again.
We got Claude.
Wait. Just because we brought up the corners, I'm gonna go back to the corners. When Chad Diggs breaks down, he's on his knees like, I can't go anymore.